Our next contestant, Sterling Crockett. Green lights, blue skies. Green lights and blue skies, Sterling Crockett.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. There's nothing quite as exhilarating as the great American road trip. Your favorite people, exotic locations, and green lights and blue skies as far as the eye can see. Well, that's the plan anyway. In reality, it turns out that road trips introduce a whole new genre of problems that you would never have to deal with at home, or that you might have to deal with in a different way. For example, my son Quincy has this toy that I call the Elmo toy. Now, that's a little bit of a misnomer because really it's a Sesame Street toy with 4 different characters, including Elmo. And the way it works is you push a button and the character pops up and sings a song. And Elmo's song sounds like this. This is the song, Elmo's song. And that is the only button that Quincy ever pushes. Now at home, I can cope with this. But in the car, it becomes and I hate this toy so much that even on my own time at home, I clubbed it with a baseball bat. But that thing works just as well today as it did the day that I pulled it out of the dumpster behind the daycare. And I salute Play School for making such a hardy, well-built toy. But frankly, I'm sick of the thing. And I know that you've seen on the freeway those signs on the side of the road that say maximum fine $500 or 1 year in prison for littering. And when I see that sign, I'm envisioning a studio audience, and they're saying, "Take the deal! Take the deal!" I'm thinking, "Take the deal! 1 year in the state pen! Yeah! How bad can it be? No Elmo!" Right? You'd hope. But Elmo's only one of the many problems you'll be dealing with on a 14-hour road trip. There are lots of things that can go wrong because it's a small space, it's confined, it's uncomfortable. And it's common to have several people, several kids sitting in the back, where their hips and butts are sort of squished together. It makes them angry. Been there, we've all been there. It makes kids angry, it makes them want to fight and argue with each other, heck. And do obnoxious things to you as the driver. And heaven forbid you have a child that's susceptible to car sickness. Right? I mean, that doesn't make things any better. A friend of mine comes from a family that was struggled with all these problems: car sickness, arguing, fighting in the car. And his mom came up with a solution I consider to be totally innovative, called the bucket. So instead of pulling over the car or stopping if somebody's feeling sick, use the bucket. Crazy, right? But my salient question is, well, okay, even if that made any sense, what do you do after that? Well, she thought about that, because she's really smart. And her solution was, if you make Mom mad, you have to hold the bucket. You would never do something even remotely close to this at home. But somehow in the car, it makes sense, because it solves more problems than it causes. And somehow it makes sense. And in retrospect, it made a lot of sense because her kids trained themselves not to get car sick. But the worst thing that can happen in a road trip is for boredom to set in. When you're the driver and you've got bored kids in the back, people don't sit around bored for long periods of time. They will solve that problem and entertain themselves. And I know that this process begun when I hear from the back of the car, my son Lincoln. I have a son Lincoln who's 6 years old and a son Quincy who's 18 months old. As soon as I hear Lincoln say the words, "Hey, look what I found. It's the hugging monkey." The hugging monkey. Let me give you a quick demonstration of what Lincoln's plan is for the hugging monkey with respect to his brother Quincy. And I'm sure I don't need to describe in any great detail why it is that Quincy hates the hugging monkey so very much. But the hugging monkey is a gift from Grandpa. So it's not going out the window. No, it's staying right here. And it is going to get ugly. Quincy, Quincy, the Huggy Monkey loves you. He's going to give you a hug. He's going to give you a hug. Apple, apple. And just to take a step back for a moment, apple's not like a safe word in our house or anything like that. It's just that Quincy only knows 2 words. No and apple. And I'm sure that his 18-month-old brain is thinking, okay, no didn't work, maybe apple will. But it doesn't. So I'm driving and trying to help Quincy out. You know, I got the headrest here. I'm trying to reach back and grab it or something. I can't really. Lincoln, of course, is ducking and dipping and bobbing and weaving. You know, like he's playing dodgeball. He's having a good time. And then finally he backs up and says, okay, oh, sorry. Sorry, Dad, sorry. He says he's sorry. But the translation is, Dad, I'm sorry you're such a cheapskate that you didn't go out and buy some in-car DVD player. And I can't help but frankly feel a little sorry myself. Would rather have that than Huggy Monkey. But it doesn't matter. It's too late. The damage is done. And Lincoln's going to keep going. Quincy! Quincy! See, Lincoln forgot one very important piece of information, which is that Julie has a far better angle from the passenger side. And it's one of the universal laws of the road trip that as soon as Mom gets angry, everybody gets real quiet. Because nobody, I assure you, nobody wants Mom's full and undivided attention at that moment in time. Particularly if there's a bucket involved. So if you're smart, this is the time to pull out the Benadryl, or maybe the Ambien. And if you're lucky, and you play it right, you can make it all the way to the end of your trip in peace and quiet. Yes, there's nothing quite as exhilarating as the Great American Road Trip. Oh, one last thing. The Elmo toy that I was telling you about, my son Quincy's Elmo toy, it turned out the only thing I needed was the right size screwdriver. So I guess you could say Elmo isn't a problem anymore.